Hello everybody. I know it's been a while since I've produced a video, but it took me a while to come up with some ideas on what the next topic I want to discuss. And after some thought, I decided I wanted to discuss how can you find more time to do more things. In the previous videos I was talking about the actions that you need to take in order to move ahead in your life where you want to be. But you can't really do any of those actions if you don't have time to do those actions. So I wanted to go through some of the thoughts and tools that I use on a regular basis to help manage my time. How many of you have ever said, I don't have enough time? I know that many of us have said that. I know I do, or I used to. I really try not to. We never seem to have enough time. We're always busy trying to do everything, especially with our smartphones and the internet and taking the kids to their activities and taking care of the family and dinners and all that other stuff we need to do. But if you think about it, ask yourself the question, why are others able to get more accomplished? You have the same amount of time as Bill Gates or Warren Buffett or the president, but look where they are compared to where we are. They have the same exact amount of time. Let's face it. I know this is kind of hard, but if you say you don't have enough time to do something, that means you have not made it a priority. That's one of the things that I struggle with, thinking that on a regular basis. Once I say that I make it a priority, that means that I've taken control and I can adjust this. You may have agreed too much or too many things if you don't have time. So start thinking, instead of I don't have enough time, is haven't made it a priority, or it's not that important to me. If you try to do everything for everybody, something's going to not make it. Why don't you focus on the things that are highest importance to you? Oops, scrolling through these a little too fast. Time management is not what you want to do. You need to do priority management. Time management kind of focuses on stuffing all this junk that you need to get done and not really thinking about what's most important. You need to ask yourself the question, what am I doing with my time? And then you ask the question, what am I doing with my priorities? Or what are my priorities? And I can tell you what your priorities are based on what you spend your money on and what you spend your time on. You can argue with me all you want. I know it's another kind of in-your-face statement, but if you spend your money and your time on things that are most important to you at the time. So why don't we start deciding what's most important instead of letting the world kind of push you around and decide where you want to spend your time and also your money. So where does your time go? I know that I run into this a lot. I am trying to accomplish something, and then the day just flies by. Lost track of what I was doing. Distractions. So that's another big issue with where the time goes. Trying to do so many little things, and by the end of the day, you don't know what you accomplished, but you know the day is at the end. Some of the distractions include the television, the internet, texting, Facebook, email, and whatever else you can think of. The distractions are things that draw your attention and focus away from what's most important. We need to start eliminating these distractions. Have you ever found that when you're trying to accomplish several things in a day, you don't seem to get much done? Usually it's because of distractions. And also, on a side note, multitasking. Multitasking is trash. I don't agree with it. And it's this thing that in the 80s and 90s, corporate America was really trying to push. Everybody needed to multitask, but your brain does not have that capability. Now, I'm kind of reaffirming. Multitasking sucks. It's a time waster. If you're trying to do 2 or 3 things, every time that you change your focus from one activity to another, it takes a part of a second for your brain to switch what it's focused on. And if you do that a lot today, you're losing a lot of time. Have you ever tried accomplishing something while texting to somebody? Both things happen kind of poorly. And multitasking is just like distractions, but it's like planned distractions that you insert in think you're trying to get more done. I would say eliminate multitasking. You need to start focusing on your things. You need to focus on your priorities. Your priorities is what's most important. You have a choice over what you spend your time doing, so why don't you use that choice and make a list of the things that are most important for you to accomplish during a day. Don't make that list too long. I would say maybe 5 or 6 things. And just make sure you get those things accomplished. And some of those things may include making dinner for the kids or feeding the pets, just little things need to get done. And then maybe add one extra thing that is going to help you to reach your life goals that we've kind of touched on through these presentations. Do not let the outside world decide what you do with your time. If you let the outside world push you around, just doing what everybody thinks you need to do, you're going to essentially be multitasking, jumping from one activity to another without completing anything. You need to decide what's most important. It's not your boss. It's not your family. It's you. You know what's most important. Focus on what's most important. An example of letting the outside world push around. Do you work too much? Well, you might say that is your company's fault and you have to pay the bills, but you were the one that chose to work there. You guys are fine. I'm kind of in your face with these statements, but if you own up to choosing to where you work, then that means you can choose not to work there and then choose to get a better job that pays you more and you get to work less. Not saying it's easy, but you can get there. You need to protect your time. Be willing to say no, even to your boss. Because if you need to focus on things that are most important, you need to be willing to say, I've got a limited amount of time that you guys want me to do all this stuff. Why don't you say, help them figure out what's most important? Because you can't accomplish everything, no matter how you try. It's focusing on what's most important. What do you do with your time? Or what do you want to do with your time? You could use this time to get another job or maybe even start a business so you can have that freedom that all these business owners you read about have. Well, let's think about ways that you can free up some of your time to start building through these next steps. The power of focus. Focus is the opposite of multitasking. You spend all your time and energy for a short burst and get something hammered out. It's really just kind of one step for another and get it done. If anybody's ever played in any sports or been in activities where time just flies by, I call that as in the zone. You don't realize there's anything else around you. You're just moving along, coasting, everything's clicking, and time just flies. So when you're doing those things, you'll see when you're accomplishing something, you're able to just fly through it with no problem. I have to admit, one of my weaknesses is trying to do too much. I'm very scatterbrained, any of you that know me, and I'm always trying to add extra activities, growing my coaching business, with work, spend time with my family, and always adding things. I'm trying to improve myself, but I've had to take some actions to really keep from adding these extra things because it creates stress in my life and I start neglecting what's actually important to me. So what I've done is I've used a whiteboard that I keep in my office, and I list the most important things I need to get done every day on that whiteboard, and I check them off as they're done. And I focus on getting those things accomplished before I add anything else. And I make sure to have the most important things, so I spend time with my family, and I have some sanity. And the nice thing about the whiteboard is it limits the space that I can write the things I need to do. So it really makes me focus on what's most important. Some of the tools you can use. I've on my website at thebootstrapcoach.com, you see at the bottom of the page, there is a tab called Josh's Homemade Worksheets or Homemade Worksheets. I can't remember which one. We'll look at it in a moment. And I've got a time budget and a time study. Yes, you guys all know I'm a recovering engineer. These are built from spreadsheets. I am a nerd. You got to write stuff down. But if you write this stuff down, you're gonna really be able to start considering and thinking and moving forward on protecting your time. And then you can start setting goals that will help you identify what you're spending your time on and then actually working toward those goals. So let's look at some of those worksheets. If you go to my website at thebootstrapcoach.com and on the tab Josh's Homemade Worksheets, if you click on Time Budget, that's not it. There we go, Time Budget. Just like a financial budget, but this is how you can print this off and write down the things that you spend your time on. These are some of the things that most people do, but I've created a lot of space what you can add to the things that I didn't consider what's in your life. And the way this works is you place the activity in the first column. On the second column, you put the number of hours in that activity. In the third column, you subtract those hours from the total hours. So, for instance, if you sleep 8 hours a day, and how many hours in a week is that? That's 7 times 8. I'm not very good at doing math in my head, so you're going to have to give me a quick second. It's 56 hours, I believe, if I did the math correctly there. So what you do is you take 168 and you subtract 56. So in this one, straight across from sleep, you would have 112 hours, if I did the math correctly on that. 168 minus 56. And you do that for all of your activities throughout the day. And this helps you understand how much free time you should have. Now, if you realize that you have more things in here than the actual time in the week, then either your hours are wrong or you think you're doing more than you're actually doing. But really, spend some time doing this, and this helps you to define what's most important in your life. And you may have stuff on this list that you know spend time on, but you need to cut out. The next one is the time study. Now, if you're wondering what happens to your time during a day and you don't know why you can't get things accomplished, I would recommend you do this for a couple of days, and every 15-minute increment, I know this is really in depth, you go ahead and you write what you're doing for that 15 minutes. And then after about 2 days, you go back and review these sheets. And then you'll realize that you're spending time on things you didn't realize you're spending as much time on. For instance, surfing the internet, big time waster. You may have thought you only spent 5 minutes, but you end up spending 45 minutes on there just because you get lost in what you're doing. This really helps dig into those pieces. Now, if you have any questions, go to my website at thebootstrapcoach.com. And if you go over here to the right-hand side, you can click on Ask Josh at joshbullock.com and contact me with your questions. Also, if you want to get notifications anytime I put a new post up here, go ahead and put your email address in here and follow the instructions. You'll get an email, and you'll have to, it's a double opt-in to make sure that I'm not a robot and you're not a robot. You don't want to get junk from anybody, so we have to go through these things. Anyway, if you guys have any questions, get a hold of me. I appreciate your time.